Ladies and gentlemen, what is good? It is Monday, January 5th, in our year of our Lord 2026. That's right, 2026. And we are the Black Baseball Mixtape. I am your host, Cheats. The Monday night crew is here. Flobo Boyce is here. April is here. We have a very, very special guest tonight. And I am so excited to be back. I want to welcome everyone that has followed the mixtape. I guess now, Flobo, I guess now for the last 3 years.
Yeah, man, that's
It's
crazy.
gotten the time flies when you're having fun. 2026 stands to be the absolute biggest year that the mixtape has ever had. Between Black baseball at every level, softball, travel, media, everything that we're doing. I feel like it's going to be bigger and better than ever. I've always got to do what we always do, and that is thank our partners. Some of them have been with us since the very beginning. Others we're adding as we go through the years. But big shout out to the Players Alliance. Got to shout them out first and foremost on the first show of the year. As you guys know, I was with the whole crew in December as we closed out the year in the Bahamas. Don't Blink Home Run Derby and all of that. Shout out to the Players Alliance. This will be a huge year for minority prospects, both baseball and softball. I already see them ramping up for what is going to be an amazing season for them. So shout out to them, our very, very good friends. And I mean, literally now our day ones. Number Game Scorecards is back for another year in 2026. Make sure you get your Black Baseball Mixtape exclusive scorecards from Numbers Game Scorecards. We've got a lot more coming when it comes to what they're doing and all of our sponsorships. Those are the ones that you have to know as we go into 2026. And we've got to start the show with a very huge announcement. That's right, April and Flobo. The Black Baseball Mixtape is now on Substack. You
Yes.
So for years, people have asked us how you can play a small part in supporting what the mixtape is doing. Substack is the answer to that. There is actually a subscription that you can subscribe to, and you will get some exclusive access. But more importantly, I think more importantly, you'll be an official member of the movement, and you'll actually be, pledging for a year. I think it's $75 for a year to really keep this operation going. So if you can find it in your heart, we really do appreciate your support. Not just, do anything you can. Join our Discord, be a part of our fantasy groups, do everything you can. But if you find it in your heart to, pledge a paid subscription to us, we really appreciate that as well. That is Black Baseball Mixtape on Substack.
Let's go.
I'm done. Flobo Boys.
Man,
How we
what's going
feeling,
on?
my guy?
Oh, brand new year, man. And I'm so glad a real podcast like this one's back. I have read so many fake trade proposals over the past couple of weeks. I want some real discussion, man. So I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. The Mets are doing some things.
Ah,
They're doing some things. Marcus Simeon's on board.
yeah.
Pete Alonso's out the door. There's some other things happening.
And in your door.
What's that?
Yeah.
And he went to your door.
Yes, that is a great move. And the Orioles just today signed Big Christmas. So,
Which is crazy. I did not
we'll
think
see
he
how
was
that
in
goes.
Baltimore either.
April, how are you feeling?
I am excited. Happy New Year to everyone. I'm just excited about all the possibilities that are going to happen within this new year for Black Baseball Mixtape, 10th Inning Talk, In the Booth with Flobo Boys.
Yes, sir.
There's so much great stuff.
Well, we all look like we have fairly new setups, and it's looking great, everybody. We want to make sure that make sure we're turning all our volume up. We have a very special guest joining us tonight. I can't wait for us to talk all things baseball and Black baseball with the amazing Bill Ladson. He's covered the game for, I know over 2 decades plus. But he was telling me already off the air about stories that even go beyond that, and I'm excited for us to have a conversation with Bill. So we're really, really excited about that. Before we get into that segment, it is New Year's, ladies and gentlemen, and we want to talk really quickly about our baseball and softball New Year's resolution. So we're going to go around and we're going to say one thing, just one thing, if we were hoping that New Year's resolution for baseball or softball, black baseball, black community in that sense, what would your New Year's resolution be? And ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening in the chat right now, also let us know. Let us know what your New Year's resolution would be for baseball in the chat. I'm going to start off with you, Flobo Boys. What would be your baseball or softball New Year's resolution?
I would say if we had a chance to really grow the game and do something to hold baseball accountable, that is more alt streams. I don't need no more Manning brothers talking about football. I think more of us need to be having live streamers of games and tell us why things are important for our community. I want more people to step up in the community and make sure that's a possibility. More alt cast for games.
So now let's really quick, because I like where you're going with that, and I agree. Major League Baseball, obviously, made the deal with John Boy last year. John Boy was doing some live streaming on the Yes Network during the games. Let's go back to my favorite Manning brothers, if you will, but not because it was really good, but it was because the awkward moments really did precede us, and that was K-Rod, right? Michael K. and Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Do we like that? Is that what you're talking about? More of like the Michael K. Alex Rodriguez on ESPN2, like talking the game while watching it?
I mean, yes, but not them. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of things that I gotta be honest with you, that was too awkward for me. But one of the things
it was only awkward when Jeter came on. And that was like the cringiest thing and I loved it. I loved every moment.
You're the only person who loves it, though.
It was disturbing.
No, one of the things I kind of missed for my generation, the end of the Gen Y/millennial thing is the barbershop talk, man. Like, I want some former players, some people that are fans, some your Kid Murals, like your Wordwood Juniors, just getting together and saying, "Oh my gosh, so that play is important for that," or he got some swag, and give me some stats as well. So, I mean, Jeter can take many seats. I just wanted.
It was like remember there was like I don't know if it was TBS or TNT. It was something during the playoffs. Where it was like Dexter Fowler and that group. They were good though. They were good. I remember something like that, like almost like a couch situation. And I know, like, Dexter Fowler and some other guys were there last year. They did some good work. But I'm with you, and I feel like one of the first people you should call for live streaming games would be the Black Baseball Mixtape in 2026.
Absolutely.
That is an opportunity. We did not last year, the year before that. Remember, we were like live watching playoff games.
Yeah.
I felt like that was hard though. They got like trying to watch the game and talk the game at the same time was really distracting.
The problem is with streaming, everyone's like eight seconds behind each other. Right. That's why it's like, what happened? Oh, okay.
Exactly. But I like it. We're gonna go with that, and we will probably do some of that in 2026. April, what's your New Year's resolution for baseball or softball?
My New Year's resolution is to continue to grow and advance people's awareness of the AUSL, the newly formed WPBL. Let me back up. AUSL, for those who don't know, Athletes Unlimited Softball League, which happens after the College World Series, the Women's Professional Baseball League, WPBL, and then, of course, getting more people to support college softball and baseball. I think last year we did a little bit more, and there was more of a drive and excitement. Like even Flobo talked about how he was watching more and he was, seeing exactly how he picked the team.
I'm going to let you finish, but we're going to push back on this a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay. But no, I really want a little bit more of that. I was at the dealership a couple months ago, and I was telling someone about the WPBL, and he was like, I didn't even know that existed. Like, how can I access it? So being a place where we can promote that and get more people involved, that's definitely a goal of mine, because people are hungry for sports. They want to be outside doing fun things, and this is their perfect opportunity for them to do it.
I like it. the only thing I was going to push back on is I think college softball has already registered the most popular year last year in
Yeah.
the history of the game. So it's like I understand what you're saying about the World Professional Baseball League. That's new.
Yeah.
People need to learn about that. I would say softball in general is exploding, especially at the youth level, especially amongst our black women, young black girls. And then I like it's documented. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
been the most popular
Yeah.
college softball season. 2025 was like the most popular college softball season of all time. So as long as they've got our girl Naja Kennedy over there, who we have invited on the mixtape, so hopefully she'll join us one of these times in 26. I think that popularity that's left in S, right? Like
Yeah.
the question is how do they cultivate that? Let me ask you this though, because that's kind of more of a personal goal. What do you want to see? Like when we're talking about kind of what we want to see in the new year, what would you want to see from those leagues to kind of help improve their status? Not like what you want to do to promote them. What like where do we want to see from the actual sport?
I would like to see them get more involved through social media with inviting creators or people who played as far as online. We see it with MLB. Like that's it's big. It's obviously not as big as the NBA and the NFL, but getting more parts of social media involved with the AUSL and WPBL, I feel like it would help to advance it a little bit more because people know about it, but people still are like, yeah, I know. Especially with by the way, January 13th, the AUSL will be announcing their team locations, which they haven't had already. There's only one team location that has been announced, and that's the Oklahoma City Spark. So using the resources that are out there, me and other people, I think that it would be great to have us to be able to promote all that is coming and to continue to advance it because they had a very successful first year.
All right. Well, I like it. Hopefully, look, those AUSL calls and media credentials will be coming in 26 for you to be able to take those on. I'm going to go back a little bit to the basics. What I mean by that is I've been doing a lot of reading over the break about I'm just reading a lot of books, a lot of Jackie Robinson stuff, a lot of Jackie was a prolific writer and edited his own magazine as well, and there was some stuff obviously especially post Jackie's playing career that was really controversial, and so there were folks that were pushing back on Jackie, and Jackie was writing certain things, and one of the things I know he passed away with great disappointment. And when you look at kind of the landscape of black baseball, especially in 2026, especially at the major league level, there's just not enough managers. There's not enough black American managers. There's not
Yep.
enough coaches in the
Mm-hmm.
box. There's not enough, obviously, high executives in the front offices. We talked about the GMs and the assistant GMs and who may be the next black GM, black American born GM. However, there are more candidates, I think, to be the next black American GM than there are to be the next like game manager, the next skipper. When you're looking at who's going to be that, the next guy that comes in with, Will Venable and Dave Roberts, who's going to be the next guy? It's not easy. It's not an easy call. There are people that are qualified. We talked about the guys that were over in the Angels organization with Bo Porter and Eric Young Sr. We talked about Ricky Weeks, who's in
Yes.
the Milwaukee organization, Quentin Berry's in the Chicago Cubs organization, Jason Bourgeois is now with us over in the Orioles organization. But who's going to be the next African American to get the Black American to get the nod to say you're in charge, you're leading this franchise on the field? I don't know where that is, and so I don't think that. I hate to sound pessimistic. I don't know if that changes in 2026, but when I look at like things that I want, like if I'm looking at the new year and things that I want to change in the league, I would look and say I would want to see more managers that are Black American born in the game. So That's where I am on that one. But I will tell you this:
It's a
I've
lot
been
for a
reading.
year, brother. That's a lot to ask for in 1 year, but I
Yeah,
respect that.
exactly,
I respect
exactly.
that.
We'll
Maybe we
take the
just get
little
more.
victories.
Maybe we get more candidates, right? Maybe we advocate for more candidates. But with that said, you know, there's just so much in the game to be excited about,
Mhm.
so much to be happy about going into 2026, and I'm ecstatic. Want to bring in our special guest, Bill Ladson, in 1 second. Before I do that, just want to one more time shout out our sponsors and partners, the Players Alliance, Minority Prospects, Numbers Game Scorecards. Please make sure you support them, and we will be adding more sponsors as we go throughout the year. With no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I am bringing in a very special guest. Clap it up, man. Bill Ladson has been writing Major League Baseball, I know, for over 2 decades. I think it was, I want to say, when I read, it was like 2002, but I think it might be before that. He was a beat
Yes.
writer. Yeah, he was a beat
Yes.
writer for the Expos and the Nationals, and they went through. Now he writes for MLB.com. He also is the senior writer for MLBBro.com. So shout out to Mr. Parker and Gamble and everybody over at MLBBro.com. And yes, we are going to definitely try to steal Bill away from all of you, no matter what. I don't know what his deal is, but we can restructure it. Bill, welcome to the mixtape.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Man, we're excited to have you. Let me quickly start with, because I know I got the bio a little bit wrong. When did you start writing Major League Baseball?
Well, as far as being a beat writer, it was 2002. But before that, I did write a lot of stories for the Sporting News and Sport Magazine and FoxSports.com. So it's been my first professional year in journalism. Sports journalism was 1988.
1988. I
Yes.
love it.
Yes.
And you haven't slowed down. What was it, just really quickly, what was it about baseball in general that made you fall in love with the game so much that you dedicated basically your adult life to it?
Well, I have to credit my father for it because he always had the game on when I was a little kid, and I fell in love with the catcher. I loved his equipment. I loved the mask, the shin guards. And one of the first things I ever asked my father, I said, "Could you get me this, that?" Which meant I was pointing to the catcher, I was pointing to the shin guards and the catcher's glove because I loved the catcher's glove. And I was a catcher with the Queens Boys Club in Astoria, and that's my favorite position because of one guy, and he was not African American. My all-time favorite player was Thurman Munson.
That is, yeah. Yeah, there you go. I
Hmm.
like it. I like it. Look, we don't want to go with the hard hitting questions super early, but since you brought it up, I do have to ask. We have not seen a lot of Black American born African American catchers in
Mhm.
Major League Baseball for quite
It's
some
true.
time now.
Hmm.
When you look at the history of Black players in baseball, you can't have that conversation without Roy Campanella and Elston Howard.
Charles
Like,
Johnson.
yeah. So why is it that you think the position, like that position, has gone away from our young Black athletes?
I don't think racism is involved here. I
Mhm.
just think that there are just not enough players who want to go behind the plate. I think you see a lot of them now at shortstop, second
Mhm.
base, the outfield now. You don't see many first basemen these days, but I think it has a lot to do with the position. The position is an exciting position when you talk about shortstop, when you talk about second base, and the outfield for that matter. I think it has a lot to do with the position.
So you think it's like, ideally, in the way we're seeing it, you think it's like the kids kind of self-selecting themselves out of catcher as opposed to the coaches moving them out.
Right. I think there's a lot of moves, you know, in those other positions,
Mm.
and I just think again, Jerry Manuel mentioned this. I think Michael Jordan has a lot to do with it because if you look at what is being done at shortstop and catcher, shortstop and second base.
Mm.
There's a lot of moves there. There are a lot of moves in the outfield, and I think a lot of people want to be like a Mookie Betts. They want to be like an Aaron Judge. I mean, let's face it, Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball. So they want to be an outfielder. They want to be a right fielder, or they want to be a shortstop like Mookie Betts. So I think that plays a role as well.
I
Can I
like
say
it.
something too?
Go ahead, April.
I will also say, like working in education, I have students who've done catcher, but they also play football or they play basketball. And when they start getting the offers in that particular area, they tend to leave catching and they pursue the offers that are presented to them in the other sports.
Well, also, you got to remember this too about the catcher's position is that the more you squat, the
Yeah.
more you're going to have knee problems.
The harder
And
it is.
it would not surprise me if a lot of these African American catchers, if that's the case, they don't want to get hurt. They want to be on the field forever. I mean, look what happened to Johnny Bench, for example. Johnny Bench was a great player. And then by the time he got into his late 20s, everyone's talking about him playing third base, if you remember, and or first base. So it's the physicality of that sport, of that position, has a lot to do with it as well.
They do the same thing with Craig Biggio, right? Towards the end of his
That's
career.
correct.
You're
That's
starting
correct.
to see a little bit of that with Adley Rutschman as well. They're going to try to figure out if Rushman's going to, catch or try to play another position. One of the things that I was talking to, shout out to my guy Lenny Webster as well. I was talking to Lenny Webster about some of this, and April, you mentioned it as well. Sometimes it's a little bit of a double-edged sword, and what I mean by that is a coach will look at a great athlete who's a catcher and want to move that person out of the position for whatever reason, because they're like, either they think they're preserving his career, or they want him to be on the field every day in a different, more athletic position. I will say this: there are more coming. Like Harry Ford's in that now in the Nationals organization.
Yes.
There are some African American catchers that are coming and are going to actually, I think, to make it to the major leagues in the next couple of years. I think Ford will be in the MLB next year, actually. So
He will. It'll be this year coming.
look at this. We're bringing in none other than our guy. Shout out to our guy. Butterman Kane is here as well. Part of our original podcast crew. Run a little late today, Malik. Run a little late.
So I'm not starting the year on a good note. Not starting the year on a good note.
Well, we are welcoming our special guest, Bill Ladson, who is here. He'll tell us a little bit about his journey and now his love for the catching position. Let me ask you this, because Bill, we're coming off what I think in a lot of our casual baseball fans, especially if you look at our Discord and the conversations that we had throughout 25, capped off by that World Series between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. I remember talking to you our very first time we talked on the phone. You were in Yankee Stadium after a late playoff game. But one of the things is, correct me if you get this sense as well, but last year, especially capped by the World Series, is one of the most, I want to say, exciting World Series we've had. It's one of the things where casuals that may have actually turned away from baseball, or media organizations that may not have talked about baseball, felt like baseball forced their hand to talk about what was happening, because they had 18-inning games in the World Series, and you got this guy Shohei Ohtani, and you got Vladimir Guerrero becoming a big star. Did you feel the momentum of just baseball in general coming off of the 2025 season and World Series?
Well, without a doubt, and I think it happened that way because of a couple of things. Number one, with the Blue Jays, for example, I think that you didn't hear a lot about launch angle with that team. They were going the other way. They weren't worried about hitting home runs. They were always, they were always playing small ball a lot. And that's what I loved. And another thing that I hope will turn the corner is that we're going to see starting pitchers go at least 7 innings
Yes.
again instead of the 5 or the 6,
Yeah.
because Yakamoto really, I hope, has turned the pitching around, because what he did in that World
Yeah.
Series and even in the postseason was outstanding, and I hope that changes the attitude when it comes to pitching.
I agree with you. I mean, I think that
Mhm.
just having those clubs, right? Having the Dodgers in the playoffs. I can't go Flobo. I can't go by my predictions. My predictions were off,
They were
but
terrible.
I picked
You know,
I
They
picked
were
every
all.
series wrong, Bill. I mean every
if I
series.
say so myself, I did pretty well.
I picked just about every series
April
wrong.
always does pretty well on
But
those.
the excitement,
Mhm.
especially even that last, remember the last week of the regular season, you're trying to figure
Yes,
out who's going to fight out the AL East, who, if Cleveland
right.
and Detroit was going to make it. It just felt like there was so much more conversation pieces. I would love to hear kind of your thoughts, especially in our community. Um, how do we get more of those? We talked a little bit about players showing their own ability and swagger, but how do we get more of that situation where we may have used to had when I was growing up, where you did walk in the barbershop and hear our barber and
Mhm.
you hear a legitimate argument about Barry Bonds, Frank Thomas, King Griffey Jr., Barry
Right.
Larkin. How do we
Gary
get
Sheffield.
I think what has to change, without a doubt, is the offense, because the offense wasn't very good as a whole last year. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. Aaron Judge won the batting title, which was great,
Mhm.
331. However, in the National League, only one player hit over 300. Everybody else was 290 or better, or worse, excuse me. And I think that has to change. Now, hopefully, the ABS system now, which is monitoring the umpires, hopefully, when it comes to balls and strikes, that will change. And hopefully, that will improve hitting. Hopefully. It might not matter, because I think the offense has to change. There are too many strikeouts. I can remember growing up, strikeouts was unacceptable. I mean, as strange as
Right.
this may sound, Reggie Jackson, when I was growing up, Reggie Jackson was the guy.
Yep.
But Reggie Jackson struck out a lot.
Yep.
And I remember how it didn't matter how good he was. There were always complaints that he
Mhm.
struck out too much. I
Mm.
mean,
And in the
if you grew up,
playoffs.
you're right. If you grew up in New York, they will, like they will always say Chris Chambliss, another African American, should be
Yep.
hitting cleanup over Reggie Jackson, because Reggie Jackson struck out too much. But now I think it's worse than when Reggie Jackson was
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
playing.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
So I think that has to change, and I think also the starting pitchers have to change as well. Because I mean, this 5 innings, 6 innings, to me, that's nothing. I mean, you're not telling me anything. And this is why I hope, we talk about African Americans, the way Hunter Green pitched in
Mhm.
September.
Yep.
I hope and pray that continues in the next year. Because if you saw how he pitched
Yes.
um, in September, he was pitching like 9 innings, completing
Lights out.
games, going deep. So I hope that September wasn't just a fluke. Frank Robinson taught me something about fool's gold. Fool's gold is when you have a great April and a great September, but you do nothing in between. So I
Right.
hope that with Hunter Green, that September was not fool's gold, because prior to that, Hunter Green was nothing but a guy who was getting injured. Yeah, the
Mhm.
talented is there, but now I hope this happens for the whole year. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm with you. I'm very optimistic on Green in the sense that I think he this year, even in 2025, despite the injuries, it looked like he figured out some things on how to get batters out,
Mhm.
how to
Yes,
really pitch
no doubt,
and not
no
just
doubt.
overpower with his fastball. It was
Mhm.
really, really impressive. You add Chase Burns to that mix, and now
Yes.
if Burns can figure it out as well, the Reds are becoming a very fascinating team.
Now,
Super
now,
early.
now keep in mind about Chase Burns now. Chase Burns got off to a slow start, but in September he was both in the bullpen and a starter, and he did very well in September. And again, this is what I mean about fool's gold. you hope that continues throughout 2026.
Flavor Boys, I'm going to jump to you. I know you've been waiting. Look, I know you've been waiting to ask Bill a question. Let's jump in here, my guy.
Yeah, man. Again, so it's cool seeing you in the flesh. 'Cause I'm so used to seeing like your little like author photo. You know what I mean? But now you're a living, breathing person. So
Yes,
one of the cool
yes.
things about the Black Baseball Mixtape is that we get to answer those tough questions, right? About like why aren't Black kids playing? Why could we get more involved? But I'm going to ask from your end because you do have committed, you have submitted content alongside the MLB. You've kind of seen that side. A lot of people are saying that the MLB is doing some things and not doing enough. From your perspective, the way the game has changed, or individual efforts, it looks like the MLB PR department is looking towards more African American players. Are you seeing impactful change, or from your vantage point, does it look more like lip service?
No, it's definitely not lip service. I can tell you this though, they have tried their best to start leagues. You have the off-season tournaments with African Americans at Vero Beach. So I mean, it's for real. But the question is, it's the same thing when I was growing up. You know, like do these African American boys and girls, do they really like the game of baseball? I can remember growing up. I used to watch TV. I used to watch the Mets and Yankees, and I used to say to myself, am I the only one that realizes that Andre Dawson, Dave Winfield, and Reggie Jackson are black and they're really great players and people should be watching them?
Right.
I'm telling you right now, when I was growing up, most of my friends had no interest in Reggie Jackson. I'm telling you right now, it was
Mhm.
mostly about football. This is a problem that dates back to the '70s, in my opinion, when I was growing up, and I just think it's a matter of that we talked before we went on the air here. I think it's a matter of swag. I think you got to have more players who show more swag. And, you know, I think Jazz Chisholm, as I said to you guys, is the only one who has showed real swag. And when I say real swag, is what, you know, when Jazz Chisholm hits a home run, we see what he does when he, you know, reaches home plate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need more of that. I mean, like if you look at the NBA, for example,
Mhm.
they didn't care what Dennis Rodman what dress he wore. The
Right.
bottom line was that Dennis Rodman was a great rebounder, and he won championships not
Right.
only in Chicago but in Detroit as well. And no one cared. If you notice, nobody cared. You know, when he had the wedding dress, no one cared. So I think you need a little more swag, you
That's
know, like a Dennis Rodman, you know, or a Michael Jordan. I mean, how can I not, you know, mention Michael Jordan? If you get some of those players, I think you will get more black fans, more people wanting to get involved in the game of baseball.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I do think they cared. Like
Mhm.
I was just listening about Dennis in the whole missing practice in a playoff game in the middle of the three-peat to go do like professional wrestling on like a two. I don't know if Lebo, if you remember this. It was like
WCW.
in the
Yep.
middle of the playoffs, he
Yes.
leaves
Mhm.
and goes and does like a WCW
He
Nitro.
won that match too. It was cool.
Right.
You're right.
There was outrage.
Right.
There was outrage, Bill. I remember this happening. People was like, "Where's Dennis? This is unreal." Now, I do think what is different, and we talked a little bit about this with Mookie Betts and Mookie going to the White House and not going and all that. There's just not enough protection, if you will, for these guys. A lot of these guys to be themselves. And I remember having a conversation, not to put anybody on blast, but I'll tell you this: some young players. I've been in the room with young players that were in the room with vets, and the vets are telling them, Bill, exactly what you're saying. Like, hey, look, you need to, be yourself, show your personality. The people want to see you guys be great, and those guys are like, you're not in our team room, you're not in our clubhouse. And these are guys just starting their careers. You know how Major League Baseball works. They're tied down in their contracts for, a couple years before they
Mhm.
even hit pre-arbitration and
Mhm.
arbitration, and they're like, I'm not trying unless they are that level of talent, right? Where they feel like, you're not going to mess with Barry Bonds, you're not going to mess with King Griffey Jr., you're not going to mess with the clear best player on the team. But if you're a younger all-star, you're a younger person that's starting to get that media attention, it's a lot harder from talking to them and having interactions with them to show their personality. Jazz is a great example because you guys, we follow closely. When Jazz won the Pivot podcast, he was talking about what it was like to be a young Jazz in Miami, and it wasn't sweet.
No,
Not
no.
easy. And so
And
a lot of those guys definitely don't feel protected. They don't
well,
feel like they can to show that personality unless you're Ronald Acuna Jr., and he still gets
right. But I also think too, I think the managers have to get involved in this as well,
Yeah.
because the reason Jazz Chisholm is who he is right now is because of Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone pretty much told him. I mean, despite the controversy during the postseason, Aaron Boone pretty much told him, "Be yourself, do what you got to do." And if you notice, no one really gets on him for that.
Yeah.
And I think the managers have to get more hip and happening in order to these players to be who they are. I really do.
It makes a lot of sense. Malik, welcome to the program. I'm bringing you in. You're on with our guy, Bill Ladson. Do you have a question for Bill?
Yeah, and first of all, Bill, it's an honor just to be on the call with you. And I've been just kind of speeding through some of your articles and noticed that you had a lot of Mets love there as well. But I wanted to check in on what you said earlier about just how the game needs to kind of go back to some of the fundamentals of, guys pitching a little bit longer. But particularly, I wanted to ask about the launch angle. You mentioned launch angle, how the Blue Jays have kind of shifted a little bit offensively in something you saw in them. And this is kind of a departure from what, Josh Donaldson came up doing with the Blue Jays, and how a lot of players have kind of went to that launch angle, hit home runs, high strikeout, high slugging, low on base percentage. So how do you think players are going to have to adjust to just the high octane pitching that's gonna, be, that's been in the league? And also another question, how can players be incentivized to hit for more contact and, be more rewarded for that in like their draft slots and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying here, because it seems like, look, I'm going to tell you again. I keep mentioning his name, but I think this is around the baseball world. Frank Robinson taught me that batting average means nothing, and this is a guy who won the Triple Crown. Batting average means nothing. He said that RBIs and runs scored are the most important stats. But if you look at today's scouts, general managers, yes, they want that launch angle. And in order for that to change, the Toronto Blue Jays have to continue to do what they're doing. And if the season started today, I think it's safe to say that the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be tough to beat, because they have the players that believe in going the other way, nothing but line drives. They're not worrying about a launch angle. You don't hear no one talking about George Springer hitting 40 homers. You don't hear no one criticizing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Not driving in 100 runs. Bottom line is, he's doing the little things to win ball games, and I don't think that's going to change. I mean, if the season were to start today in the AL East, I see no one right now beating the Toronto Blue Jays, and I'm including the Yankees in that. I grew up a diehard Yankees fan.
Not those mighty kids in Baltimore.
No, yeah, but you see,
stop talking about the Orioles, Chief. Stop.
But
Sorry,
let me say this.
I had to do it.
They might be a wild card team, but they need pitching.
The scrappy
if they don't get
Baltimore.
if they don't get that pitching,
Yeah.
and they need, okay, they improve their bullpen a little bit.
Now we got a ways to go. We got a ways to go.
I mean, that is, it comes down to pitching for them, and you hope that, you talked about Adley Rutschman earlier. I mean, this is what I mean, April. You asked about the catching. I mean, they're worried about him playing 162 games. I mean, the last 2 years he hasn't been healthy, so that's what they're worrying about.
We're gonna jump to April. April, did you have a question for our guy Bill?
Yes, first of all, Bill, okay, I'm fangirling a little bit, so
No problem.
don't mind me.
No
But
problem.
I want to say that we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but the superstar, especially the Black superstar
Hmm.
in MLB, who do you think represents that right now? And what can we do to evoke that kind of thing again? Because I remember growing up, and yes, we had Ken Griffey, yes, we had Barry Bonds, yes, we had Gary, yes, we had Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt, Fred McGriff. Like, I can remember all of these people.
Hmm.
But what can we do as a society or amongst us to bring back that superstar element for Black athletes?
Well, that superstar right now is Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge really doesn't have that swag per se. He's how can you make him have more swag? It's tough, man. I mean, he's 33 years old now, and when you're 33 at this juncture, he's not going to change. But
Right.
that's not his fault. I think the people surrounding him, like a Jazz Chisholm. We keep mentioning Jazz Chisholm again, and
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Judge promotes Jazz Chisholm,
Mm-hmm.
believe it or not, and he loves Jazz Chisholm. But I mean, I think that maybe J- um, Judge has to promote himself a little more, because when you ask him about Aaron Judge, he doesn't like to talk about Aaron Judge. And I think you need him to talk a little bit more about Aaron Judge, but it's tough to get him to really talk about it. Like the other day, I mean, earlier this year, he passed Joe DiMaggio and he passed Yogi Berra in home runs by a Yankee. But he really didn't want to talk about Aaron Judge. He wanted to talk about how great those Yankee players were back in the day. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to catch up to the NFL and
Mm-hmm.
the NBA, and have that swag, yeah, you're gonna have to brag about yourself a little bit. I always say that Reggie Jackson came too early,
Mm-hmm.
because when he was doing it, he had swag,
Yeah.
but people saw him as a troublemaker. If he did that
Yeah.
today, people would love him. But it's tough to change an Aaron Judge when he's 33. It's hard to believe, but he's 33 years old
Let,
now,
let me
and
go on a limb. Let me go on a hit limb here, April, for you and Bill and the crew, and just let you know it's not going to happen for Judge in that sense. Like,
Mhm.
no,
Right.
Wow.
and it's
Wait,
not,
wait,
look,
wait.
look,
You still
look,
believe in the Orioles, but you cut
right?
off Aaron
But,
Judge.
let me be
Oh no,
let me
he
be
can't get with
very clear.
Giancarlo.
Let me be very clear, because it's not that Aaron Judge in itself is, he's the best player in the game.
Right.
We all had the conversation. I think Flobo was the only one on the Cal Raleigh has a shot on the AL MVP conversation. No, but what it is with Aaron, and it's a little bit different, because I do think Aaron Judge has taken the Derek Jeter approach to being a captain in New York
No doubt.
City in certain ways. Jeter was always aided by a culture that surrounded Jeter. And it
Mm.
was Jeter was even if Jeter wasn't like, kind of look at me, I'm Derek Jeter, he put himself in situations and put himself in the right spots. He put himself around the right people, where when Jeter was social, everybody knew Jeter was outside.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Judge is a
Yes.
completely different personal person. He takes that approach, the captain, you know, he takes the Jeter approach on the field, and then he goes home to his wife and his
Right.
dog, and nobody knows about
And the
Aaron
kid.
Judge, and they don't even know if Aaron. We were talking about this. Remember, Malik? We were talking about what if San Francisco is really was it going to be between going to the Bay and re-signing with the
Right.
Yankees? And
Yeah.
we were like, nobody knows what Aaron Judge does. They don't even know. Like, they don't like. It's just a different. Um, it's a different approach to
Right.
the stuff outside of the field. Where again, on the field, he can look at like a Derek Jeter type model, and Jeter was also very unique in that sense because culture surrounded Jeter. Where
Right.
if you looked at, there's a couple of folks that are interesting. If you looked at, the Tiger Woods, the Derek Jeter, the Michael Jordan to an extent, but the Kobe Bryant, if you're looking at that era, their on-field approach, and then you would have to step out off the field, and in the scenarios of both Kobe and Jeter, it was like the culture surrounded those guys.
Right.
In the world of Tiger Woods, the culture did not. I mean, we rooted for him, but he wasn't really ingrained in our culture per se on a day-to-day, and we knew it, right? I think you can't fool the black fan. So that Aaron Judge is not the guy that we're gonna say. Like we were just talking about with the Team USA roster. Like Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball. He's a Black American player, biracial player, Black American player. But no one's gonna be running to Team USA like they did when Tim Anderson was on the team, or when Cedric was on the team, or when Mookie's our best shot at superstardom right now. And then the question, I'm saying Mookie's a star. He is.
He is. I'm gonna say that.
Hey, I'll go even further than that, Cheats. I think Mookie Betts is a Hall of Famer.
Oh,
He's a Hall of Famer,
hands down, first ballot.
Total.
But he also embraces our culture more and wants to do more.
Yeah.
And I it's funny because again, we were talking about this a lot in previous shows, and I always said after that era of the Griffey, Bonds, Frank Thomas, it was like Jeter was kind of the last of the Mohicans in that sense of super stardom. What has happened, I think, post retirement, I think CC Sabathia now has been connected, like almost post his playing career. He's become a bigger star, with the Hall of Fame and the way he's embraced culture. Like people will look at like a CC, I think, in the same ways that they look at players in a way where it's like, I don't know if he was as big as he is even now when he was playing. You'd see CC now with Fat Joe and Jada. You'll see CC on every podcast. And I was like, when CC was pitching, I don't know if he got those calls. I mean, I'm not sure. Malik, you tell me, April.
Let me also add too, because I keep coming back to this. If you listen often to Malik and I, the HBCU Classic, a lot of fans they really desire authenticity. So when you see players like Lawrence Butler or Marcus Stroman or a Tim Anderson, regardless of what people think, younger people are people who are growing up watching the sport. Those are the players that they gravitate to because they love the authenticity that they bring to the game. Right. But those players also bring what you discussed as well, is they're playing positions that are attractive to what people who are watching the game ultimately love.
And also too, keep this in mind too. You talk about Marcus Stroman. If you're going to be, if Marcus Stroman is going to be who he is, and he is himself, there's no question about it, has the tattoos and the rap and all that stuff, you got to back it up with performance. Yeah. And this is a fact. He was awful as a Yankee. He was awful. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. So if you're going to do that, you got to back it up with performance.
I agree.
Flobo, I see you over there.
I'm with you 100%, and I want to choose my words carefully because I don't want to come off as a hater. But this is why I never considered Mookie as the emblem as much as my peers, because when he was in Boston, but he went to a team that he didn't have to be out in front. He could have been the third or fourth option on his squad. I think the closest thing we had, I hate to say it, to your point, Mr. Ladson, was TA. TA was on a team that was basically an island, and he did things before it was even cool to do it. It's just that now, like, he had a decline at the worst time of his career. But that was the last time I felt like, oh man, he's starting to cross over. They called him TA7. He had his own logo. He had his own shoes. It just felt different than what Mookie was doing. I'm not sure what the reason is, but that's the way I felt.
Regarding Mookie Betts, I just think, like his off the field stuff. As you know, he loves bowling. Yep. That's not going to attract people in our in our neighborhood.
I mean,
It might contract me. I like bowling. It's cool. It's cool. I just little.
Mother's bowl, Bill.
I mean, let's be honest, okay? But I thought overall though, I think Mookie Betts is the right guy to look at because first of all, Mookie Betts has more swag than Aaron Judge. That's a fact.
Oh yeah.
And also what he's done at shortstop. I mean, this guy went from a
Right.
Gold Glove right fielder
To
to a
second to
Gold
short.
Glove caliber shortstop. And like the thing I liked about Mookie Betts this year is that he was honest as to
Yes.
why he was having a bad year behind at the plate. He had a great year defensively, but I mean, I think his honesty, and I also think that his swag at shortstop. I mean, I think is unbelievable. I think he should be considered like the top
Yes.
guy. And I know what you're saying, Flobo. I mean, with Boston, he wasn't the guy because you had other guys on that team. But still though, I mean, I thought he did a hell of a job in Boston.
Yeah.
And to not give him the money and not let him stay there
Right.
was a tragedy.
Mhm.
And he's doing this after the age of 32. Like switching positions like this after the age of 30 is crazy.
That's
The
huge.
good news, guys, is that the cupboard is not bare because again, we talked about guys like Lawrence Butler. We talked about guys like Michael Harris. And Michael Harris, he was an Atlanta-born kid, and I've seen Michael Harris walk around and have seen the people that follow and gravitate to him. CJ Abrams. I mean, there's a list of them that if like Bill said, the caveat is if you do it on the field, if you can start to do it on the field, these guys have personalities I know that will be out of your mind. And they've got more coming. Look at those draft classes and when Justin Crawford and Enrique Bradfield and Tamar Johnson and all these guys, if they hit like they're supposed to, you're gonna have an onslaught of swag in the league.
And don't forget George Lombard Jr. He's going to be
Lombard's
hell of
gonna
a
be
player
really
as well.
good.
Kalen
Lombard's
Culpepper
gonna be
is up
really
there
good.
too.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Black Baseball Mixtape. We are here with our special guest, Bill Ladson. The whole crew is here. This is the first podcast of the year. We always got to thank our partners, the Players Alliance, Numbers Game Scorecards, Minority Prospects. We have so much to look forward to. And I already know, Flobo knows this. We already have podcast upon podcast already lined up for 26. It's going to be a wonderful year. Bill, we really appreciate you joining us and having some conversation. I want to ask you before we get out of here. You've covered so many. You mentioned Reggie Jackson a couple times. You mentioned what you've learned from Frank Robinson. I know you've had extensive coverage of Dusty Baker. Throughout your years, man, you mentioned Jim Riegelman. Who's some of your favorite people to cover and why?
Number one is Ryan Zimmerman, who played with the Nationals. He was their third baseman, first baseman, and I'll tell you something. He was never in a bad mood. If things went wrong, he was always the guy to go to, without a doubt. And another guy that I love that I can call a friend is Willie Harris. Willie Harris is now a third base coach for the Cincinnati Reds. He was a long-time third base coach for the Cubs, but he also played for the Nationals. That's how I knew him.
Yep.
And every time I talk to him, we always laugh. We always talk about what's going on in the game of baseball. And his love for the White Sox has never left him, believe it or not. He's a guy that you talk about an African American manager. I think he could be the next one because I think he is that good. I think he always used to tell me, you can always tell how the game is going by watching the scoreboard. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. And he is one of the best people I ever met, to tell you the truth.
Is there someone, Bill, that you wish you could have covered day in and day out that you didn't? You mentioned Thurman Munson is your favorite player. Is there
Yes.
someone from like now, knowing what you know now, and it's like, man, I wish I could have saw that guy day in and day out.
Oh, without a doubt, Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson, to a certain degree, Dave Winfield. Reggie Jackson was because he was the Muhammad Ali of baseball. That's why when I say if he had played today, no one would be complaining like they did back in the
Mhm.
70s. So Reggie Jackson, without a doubt, he always had something to say. He wasn't afraid to talk about race. He wasn't afraid of anything, to tell you the truth.
Yep.
That's why I think it's one of the reasons. Now, he's not perfect, but I think that's one of the reasons he is, from what I heard, he's not in the game now. So, because he's not with Houston anymore, because he says what's on his mind, and that hasn't changed. He'll be 70 this year, and nothing's changed with Reggie Jackson.
That's fantastic. Bill, this has been an absolute pleasure. We are, as you could tell already, you may not have known you had a fan club, but you actually have a fan club of your baseball fans that follow your work, man, and we're really, really appreciative of all of the work that you've put in. I was doing research. I think I told you I was doing research for some article, and it was like no matter what I thought of, Bill Ladson had already written the damn article. And I was like, how am I? This is like he'd already written it. Like it was like profiles on players. I was like, Bill's written it, profiles on GMs, Bill's already written it. I was like, God Lord, I can't beat this guy. And I couldn't figure it out. So we really, really appreciate all the stuff that you do. As you go into 26 in this season, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the ABS system regarding the umpires. How is that going to affect them in terms of balls and strikes? I hope that it improves the offense in some way. So we'll see about that. Also, like Aaron Judge, it's hard to believe he's close to 400 homers already. So that's what I'm also looking forward to seeing. I know, Flobo, you're a Mets fan. I'm looking to see what's going on with the Mets.
Because aren't we all?
Because right now,
right
now, they haven't done anything. I don't care. Listen, you talked about Marcus Simeon.
I got Simeon.
But did I say right? Yeah. Anyway,
they got Devin. Your boy Devin Williams.
Okay, that's a wait and see. But let me say why. Because I don't care what Devin Williams says. I just saw a guy who had a bad year. And yes, like he wasn't slaughtered per se. But what scared me about him was the beard controversy. There shouldn't have been any beard controversy.
Yeah.
That really bothered me, because so what if you're clean shaven? And and I thought that was kind of silly. And Marcus Simeon had a bad year, and he hasn't been good the last 2 years. And yes, defensively, they got him for defense. I get that. But offensively, is he going to do what he did in 2023 when the Rangers won the World Series? So those are question marks to me. That was not they solved the problem. And I think they're going to miss Diaz too. So I hope that Devin Williams is back to his old ways with the Brewers. But you know what? I'm telling you, man, when you play in New York, it's a big difference. I lived in New York, okay? It's a big difference. And I want to give you an example of a person who handled New York so well. It shocked me to this day. Paul O'Neill.
Yep.
When Paul O'Neill was with the Reds, Paul O'Neill couldn't hit a lefty to save his life. Then he goes and then he's traded for Roberto Kelly. And I'm saying to myself, what are the Yankees doing? Roberto Kelly's the better player. But what happens? I mean, somehow Paul O'Neill adjusted to New York. He became a Hall of Fame player as a Yankee, not as a Red, as a Yankee. And he adjusted, and voila. I hope that happens with Devin Williams. That's why I'm bringing this up, because I hope that Devin Williams can handle New York. And did he based on last year? No, he didn't.
Let me ask this, because we've seen it obviously with Juan Soto. Now we're seeing it with Devin Williams. We've seen it for a bunch of players. Is it that much difference playing in the Bronx versus playing in Queens?
Good question.
No. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you play in New York,
Flobo,
if you do,
Flobo.
Listen, if you play at Citi Field, for example, I've seen it. I've seen where Edwin Diaz was booed for having a bad game in the ninth inning. I've seen Pete Alonso, for example, get booed for striking out too much.
Yeah.
But I hope, Milwaukee is different than New York.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Yeah.
So I just hope that he can handle it better in Queens than he did in the Bronx. Now, what's in Devin Williams' favor is that he worked for the GM in Milwaukee. So you hope that that will make him relax. Hopefully.
Part of me thinks he'll bounce back. The strikeout rate was still pretty good. So
yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So maybe these relievers are still kind of volatile. One good year, one terrible year. So I hope
we can't not mention the Yankees' shoddy defense too. I mean that a lot of it was because the Yankees didn't know how to field. Let's be real.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm telling you right now. I said this earlier. If the season started today, no one from the AL East is going to beat the Toronto Blue Jays right now, because I haven't seen anything.
That's until they trade Bobichet to the Yankees.
That has said to me they're going to beat the Toronto Blue Jays, and right now that's not going to be the case, in my opinion.
Bill, we're going to have to leave it there, my brother. Thank you so much
no problem.
for your time. This has been an absolute blast. Please keep it locked. Look, we're going to call Rob and we're going to call Gamble. We're going to have Bill on as much as possible during the season.
Anytime, guys.
So it's only a matter of time before we're coming after them. All right. Bill, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon, my guy.
Take care, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Let's go, Mitch.
Take care.
Legend.
Yes.
There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode, first of the year in the books. How we feeling, everyone?
Yeah, it felt good.
Excellent. Well, we have a lot coming up. We already have podcasts lined up. At least 3 podcasts lined up. So we'll definitely be back on Monday night. We'll probably be back on different things before that. As always, 2026, we're gearing up for In the Booth. Flobo Boys, what you got going on?
Oh, we got some things coming down the pipe for In the Booth. Remember, this season more than ever, if you're not following the show, please do. Wherever you get on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We got some great guests lining up in the booth every other Monday when the season's going on.
And we are also in the 10th inning. I saw there was some merch. There's some rumors of some merch from the 10th inning talk. You're not wearing it, but April, what do we got for the 10th inning?
Yes, y'all, my dad surprised me with some merch for Christmas. I actually went and I checked out on some things. So you may see something on Etsy within the next few weeks if you would like to support. But I also have an episode coming up this Wednesday with Michaela Minner, who was drafted by the WPBL. You do not want to miss. It was actually a really good episode, very informative, especially if you want to learn a little bit more about the WPBL. So
there you go. Make sure you follow 10th Inning Talk. Buddy Man Baseball, what we got going on, my brother?
Man, just peaced out.
As soon as we call, it was so powerful that we called on him and then
had to bounce.
What do we got going on, Butterman Baseball?
Hey, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna try to get some articles out before opening day. I think we need to rank some positions before the season starts. I got some thoughts, I got some hot takes, and so I'm gonna try to get those bust out before opening day, because I don't think spring training is gonna count or inform that list too much. Spring training, so we'll get those out.
We will see. Spring training makes a lot of difference sometimes. Ask our boy Cam Smith out there in Houston. Hey, so with that said, again, we got a lot happening. We want to thank our sponsors as always, but we also want to remind you, like we said at the top of the program, the Black Baseball Mixtape is now on Substack. It's on Substack. You can check it out through the app. You can check it out online. We encourage you, obviously, to support our efforts here all through 2026. Subscriptions are wonderful. Please do them. Paid subscriptions are even better, right? As best we can. So make sure you check out the Substack, and we really hope that you will find it in your heart to subscribe and gift us with a wonderful gift of a season of the Black Baseball Mixtape. There will be merch coming. There is new merch in the pipeline for the mixtape. It is very limited. It is very limited. It is very limited. But it is going to get done. I am looking in the office in the headquarters with some wonderful hoodies and t-shirts. They probably will not hit the streets until I'm assuming around February 1st ish. But there's some things that are going on there. We will also, there's a couple things happening. Camps are coming up. I was talking to Flobo. We're making our World Baseball Classic arrangements as well. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world of the mixtape, and we really appreciate all of you for being along with the ride. So until next time, we are out. We truly